I have been loving this game lately. I've always had a passion for indie games, and I love it whenever I am able to dig up a hidden gem. Urtuk the Desolation is a turn-based tactical strategy RPG by Mad Sheep Studio. What immediately jumped out at me is how unit movement is more nuanced than in other SRPGs I have played. Units cannot move straight through other allied units, unlike in other SRPGs. They can swap places with allied units, but that will immediately end their turn unless the active unit has this one mutation called Lightfoot. I'll go into the mutations later. Units are not able to simply breeze right past enemy melee units. When they travel onto hexes that are adjacent to enemy melee units, the active unit cannot move any further that turn unless the enemy melee unit is panicked or stunned. Maps have varied geography and varied amounts of danger. Sometimes maps will be open and plain. Sometimes the whole map will be littered with impassable obstacles, deadly traps, and tight choke points. All of this gives the units in Urtuk a more weighty feeling than in other SRPGs, in my memory at least. In other words, there's much more to organizing the formations of your units that will involve much more than just simply putting your melee units in the front and your ranged units in the back. One bone that the game throws to the player is that it gives the player the option to see the map before you decide on which specific units in your party that you will place into battle. In my personal experience, I have found that open maps generally tend to favor melee units, whereas the labyrinthian maps generally tend to favor ranged units. There is also indeed much more to each of the units beyond whether they are ranged and melee. The units are of varied class types, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. If all of that isn't even enough, Urtuk presents yet another additional layer of strategy with its mutation system. Urtuk forgoes the unlockable tech trees of other RPGs in favor of presenting a more open-ended and customizable system of mutations. For the most part, most mutations can be both equipped and unequipped to most class types. It gives me a similar feeling to that of trading card games, in that there were multiple effective strategies depending on the combinations of mutations. A good RPG should make you feel like a mad scientist performing an experiment. A good RPG should have you looking forward and wanting to engage in its combat rather than making combat feel like a chore. Urtuk at least does that for me personally. I haven't even gone into detail about the various abilities that are specialized and unique to each of the classes. It isn't perfect, its UI can be clunky, and its story not really memorable, but boy have I been loving this game. I give it an A-. In my personal opinion, unless you have been really hankering for a strategy RPG, its $20 price tag is a tad steep. If you have Steam installed on whatever device you're watching this on, I recommend logging on and adding it to your wish list right now. Urtuk, the Desolation. Let's heal him, so he can take a hit. He's about to have to take a hit here. Oh, I can still give him the lifesteal ability? Yeah, you. And then now I'm gonna just have you chill. Alright. Freaking A! That's... Stream marker.